This episode is presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head Tourism Bureau. Discover the art of adventure at Utah's gateway to the parks. Cedar City is within a few hours' drive from 6 different national parks and monuments, and only 30 minutes from fresh snow at Bryan Head Resort. Check out visitcedarcity.com to plan your next trip. This episode is sponsored by the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center. Dedicated to supporting local businesses and entrepreneurs, it provides resources and services aimed at fostering business creation, growth, and retention. The center features the Makerspace, where entrepreneurs and small businesses can have access to 3D printers, video production and photography equipment, t-shirt printing, and more. Whether you're starting a new venture or looking to expand an existing one, the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center offers the tools and guidance to help you succeed. To learn more and get involved, visit innovationcenter.cc. Hello and welcome to the Explore Local podcast presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head in partnership with Cedar City Iron County Economic Development. Produced by Dallas Smith Media, and I'm your host, David Johnson. Well, today I am really excited for our guests, and it's some guests that you might not have predicted. So we have Myles Hayes.
Yes, sir.
Who's the Director of Football Development.
Yes, sir.
And Marli Bartlett, who is Manager of Football Development for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Sure, thanks for having us here.
Yeah, glad to have you on the Explore Local podcast. Now, I think our guests are probably wondering, why in the world are you interviewing the Las Vegas Raiders? Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, why in the world not? This is amazing and a great opportunity. I mean, one of the foremost NFL teams in the country, long legacy,
yes, sir.
Moved to Vegas. But maybe I'll let you guys tell why. Why are you here today?
Yeah, so excited to be here, first of all, and thanks for having us. But we are working with Southern Utah in the summer games to be a part in sponsoring the football activities this year, flag football and 7-on-7. Our role in the Raiders organization is to grow the game from a grassroots level, and Utah is our market as well. So this is home for us too. So glad to be here and share some stories with you. Yeah,
so glad to have you. Anything you want to add to that?
I think Myles hit it. Yeah, we're excited to be here, hit a new market. We see, a lot of the same kids all the time. So this is a new branch for us. We get to make new acquaintances, new faces.
Yeah,
and it's a lot cooler here too.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. We're here where we're at. I don't know. What's my watch say? We're at like 5,400 feet. The altitude up
Love
here.
It.
Yeah, it's cooler. It's nicer.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that you mentioned is you've created this partnership with the Utah Summer Games, and I definitely want to dive into that.
Okay.
But before we do, because that will be, I think, a big chunk of what I'd like to talk about. But describe exactly, when you hear Director and Manager of Football Development, people are like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, no, by design, for sure.
Yeah.
So our department,
I like it. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a conversation starter. Our department used to be youth football. And essentially we're in charge of the grassroots kind of community outreach for the Raiders, particularly with youth and high school football, so to speak. But as we know, football, there's a lot of different avenues and there's a lot of different parties involved, and there's a lot of different levels of the game that we all try to have an impact on. And so our main goal is to develop the game, right? So we represent the Raiders. Obviously, the Raiders are our football team. We want to keep that pipeline as healthy as possible for young athletes to aspire to be into the pros, but they can't get there if they're not playing football as a youth. So that's where we come in as well. And we're new to this market in this area, right? So there's a part of it that's growing the Raiders fan base here, locally here. And what better way to do that than reach families through their kids and through athletics? So that's all kind of a part of the mission. We break up our kind of department and our goals into kind of 4 quarters of like life, or 4 quarters of development, from the time you start to the time that you're in high school to the time that you're past high school playing, but maybe you want to get into the sports in a career field, right? So that's all a part of our development strategy.
That's awesome. I love that. Any thoughts that you might have on that?
Like I said, the 4 quarters are really cool. So we get to be a part of a kid's first Raiders jersey. all the way up through they get to college. They're at Nevada State, where women's flag football is just starting up. So we get to be a part of that whole journey until they want to be officials, until they want to be in our chair, in our position. So it's cool to see that growth all the way through their youth football careers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to hit that out of the gate, that this partnership with the Utah Summer Games, which I think is an incredible partnership. And John Oglesby, executive director for the Utah Summer Games, has made some amazing partnerships. Last week, him and I talked about partnership they made with the Special Olympics, which is just amazing outreach with the Special Olympics.
Yeah, for sure.
People of all abilities. And then the partnership with the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm thinking of the Allegiant Stadium. I just drove by that, I think it was last weekend.
Okay.
And
Kendrick, huh?
What's that?
You was at the Kendrick Lamar concert? You was at Kendrick?
No, I didn't go to the concert. No, maybe I should have. Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I sound way cooler.
I thought I saw you there.
Kendrick Lamar. That's right. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Oh, you got me. That's good. Oh man. No, we did a spur of the moment trip to Disneyland.
Nice.
It's not too far.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I had my wife and one of my kids have a birthday in the same week, and we're like, let's hit that for the weekend.
That's awesome.
But when we were driving by, it just blows you away. That stadium,
beautiful.
It's just something else, right? It is such a cool facility to see. And I'm digressing. In my role, economic development, it's about creating business and attracting and recruiting business and creating community partnerships. And typically, especially in Southern Utah, we're really trying to establish ourselves as its own market that can compete with Salt Lake and Vegas and Denver and these other markets.
Right.
But what most people don't know is we're actually closer to Vegas than we are even to Salt Lake.
Yes, sir.
Salt Lake or Vegas is our closest market, like almost sister markets in a way. So many people from Vegas come up here to go skiing at Bryan Head Ski Resort. And I know athletics is one area where we really are trying to expand into that. Before we dive into your programs and we hear more about the programs and hearing about those with the summer games, oh no, maybe we should do it this way. First describe the different programs that you have, and then I'd love to hear some great stories about those programs.
Yeah, so there's a large part of the area, and I'll let Marli oversee her or talk to her programs. So Marli, let me talk up hers, and I'll let her get into hers. So she oversees all of our flag initiatives, as well as our girls flag and basically women's in sports kind of platform. So it's really expansive, and that's a lot of times the entryway into the game is flag through families, and it's an easier game.
I remember in elementary school, that's one of the first things you did in PE, right? You had the yellow and the red flags.
Yeah, exactly. So that game is growing. Obviously, there's some opportunities in the Olympics and college and that are growing there. We expand all the way from going to an elementary school to say we have a program that's called Raiders Junior Training Camp. That's, hey, come outside, have fun, play for 60 minutes, be active, be healthy. And then you're doing that playing football where we're playing music, we're having fun. Sometimes we'll have some players or the mascot out, just kind of that field trip, kind of gym class kind of situation. And it leads up all the way to where we're hosting state championship games at Allegiant Stadium, or we're doing a coaches clinic, or we are training officials. So, I mean, there's a wide range of programs that happen within our department. So I will let Marli kind of dive into more of hers, because I think it's special and unique to why we're here this weekend.
Cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, let's hear it, Marli. Tell us all about it.
So like Myles said, we break our system up into quarters. And so quarter 2 is our silver and black flag football. So those are the flag football leagues that we sponsor, that we, we'll pop up at their games. We'll host their championships. We do everything we can to make, they get a Raiders experience. They get to come to Raiders games. They get, unique experiences, through us. And so that's, once they do that Raiders Junior Training Camp, once they had fun at that, and they say, hey, Mom, I want to go play some more football, we have our silver and black leagues in place so they can come play football. We still get to be a part of their journey, that way. And once they pass quarter 2, they get to high school. that's really where, for me, it gets fun. So I do a lot of the high school girls flag football. Like Myles said, we hosted state championships at the stadium for the first time. So the girls got to play at that big, massive stadium, that the Raiders play in every Sunday. And then just this past weekend, we hosted our Inspire All-Star Weekend. So the best girls in the state, the Coaches Association voted for, they came out for a 2-day event. They got to perform in front of college coaches. We had college coaches there to recruit, to scout, and then they played in an all-star game, the next day. So, those are the ones that I, put most of my effort goes into quarter 2 and quarter 3.
Yeah, I kind of want to dive into this too, but one of my favorite games to watch in high school and even still now is the Powder Puff game. In high school, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Everywhere has the Powder Puff game. The senior girls versus the junior girls.
Yeah.
And I love watching it because I don't know. I always thought it was cool, the tough girls. Anyways, and I'm a girl dad, so I have 3 girls, and one of the things I love, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, I love watching my girls beat a boy in something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I just am always just like, hold your own. I love it when it's unexpected. Like, whoa, that girl, 2 of my girls dance. One's a runner, and a couple of them run too. But I love to see them beat boys and stuff. Yeah, and that's not to like put down boys or anything, but it's so cool to see how much grit these girls have that sets aside any kind of stereotypes of whether it's sports stereotypes or gender stereotypes or whatever. Yeah. It's just so cool to see these girls play in.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm, and I don't want to cut you off, Marley, but I'm a girl's dad as well, right? And so, I mean, for so long, I think those opportunities in football for young ladies stopped right at that game.
Exactly.
And I think what's really cool about what's going on now is that there's opportunity. They were earning college scholarships. We have a number of girls that attended Marley's event, Inspire, are going on to college, and academics are paid for through playing football, right? We mentioned that we have a relationship with Nevada State there, that they're just starting a flag football program, the first in the state, and that's part of the reason why we're here in Utah as well, to help, kind of establish some of those programs here as well. So those opportunities that are continuing to grow, 2028 is right around the corner, and girls flag football or flag football in general is going to be an Olympic sport. So for a young lady to, let's say it's from Utah or Nevada or California, wherever, to say that, hey, I have goals and dreams of playing football and I can represent my country and earn a gold medal. Yeah. From when I was in high school, where it was Powder Puff, it's like, it's an exceptional thing. And as a girl's dad, it's kind of cool that if my daughter wanted to get into that path of playing, it's not just like, hey, you can play here and then it kind of cuts off here. It's like, you can take this as long as you want to go. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, tell me about your experiences with the girls. Are there cool experiences that you just would like to share or that you can think of? Yeah, for sure. So I still play flag football too. And so I'm out, like some of our high school girls, I've gotten to, share the field with them. And that's amazing to see them at an event. They come to my events and support and they compete. And then when I get to get on the field and compete with them, that's one of the coolest things ever, that I get to call those girls, not only, like kids that I may mentor, but they're my teammates. Yeah. And same, like a lot of the girls that are going on to Nevada State, going on to college, I've gotten to practice with some of those girls. I've gotten to practice with some of the girls that are already on the USA national team on that Olympic path. So being able to see those girls go from, a high school sophomore to a USA national team, player, and getting to share the field with them, that's one of the coolest things ever. Yeah. Have you really connected with any particular athletes and kind of been able to mentor and watch them grow? I'm digging for some good heartstring stories of, just good experiences with some of these kids, if you're comfortable sharing. Yeah, for sure. There's a few that they went to go play flag football in college and they've come back and now they're part of the Raiders organization. And so really? I get to work with them and, whatever questions they have, I work with them all the time. I try to answer, all the questions that they have and bounce that stuff off of them. And then even some of the high school kids, I've gotten, relationships to where I've been invited to graduation parties. I get invited to holiday dinners if I don't get to go back home myself. And so,
I think part of that is, getting to play with them on the field. They see me as more than just, hey, that's the lady that works for the Raiders. That's, she's one of us. She's actually a part of our community, part of the flag community. She's not here because, she has to be here. She's real. She wants to be here.
Yeah, she loves it. Yeah.
And Marli's being modest right now, but one of the cool things about Marli's relationship that I see just from afar, a lot of times kids may not be able to experience or see the players, or maybe not even be in the stadium. We try to get as many kids into the stadium as we can, but a lot of times our role in the community that's their touching point with the Raiders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if, sometimes the relationship with the organization, the great brand that the Raiders is, might be through us, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, the Raiders came to my school today, and the coach of the camp was a young lady there, and I maybe want to do that, right? I can represent a brand too. So I know she's a big inspiration for a lot of kids, and kids have told her that, in her time with the Raiders. So
that's awesome.
Really cool.
You know what it actually really reminds me of? A long established program here in Utah is what they call Junior Jazz.
Yeah.
A partnership with the Utah Jazz.
Yep.
And you see everywhere you go year round, like hundreds of kids always sporting their Junior Jazz jerseys.
Yes, sir.
And they're proud to wear that.
Yeah.
And one thing I've always kind of liked about that, because I grew up in a military home, and kind of.
What branch, if you don't mind me asking?
My dad was in the Navy, and my mom worked civil service. Whatever base we were going on, but we were on Marine bases in the middle of the desert, though, because my dad was a medical corpsman. But one thing I like about the Junior Jazz jersey is, whatever I don't know what Junior Jazz costs nowadays for kids to go play in, but it's probably cheaper than just buying an actual Jazz jersey at a sporting goods store, right?
Yes, sir.
And so these kids get to play season, they get to wear the jersey, they're represented, it's their number, right? Mm-hmm. And I see the same thing with these Raiders programs. These kids of every walk of life can come and play, and they get to sport that Raiders jersey, and they're proud to sport it, right?
Yeah.
That's what you made me think of.
One of my favorite ones that we've started handing out to, especially the girls, there's a women in sports shirt, and so they get to walk around. They're like, you're a woman in sports, like, own that. That's huge. And so as you, establish your career playing, post-playing career, whether it's, working for an NFL team or coaching, sport that women in sport, that's, you're the representation.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So let's shift a little bit. We kind of lightly touched on it.
Yep.
But why Utah? Why a partnership with Utah Summer Games?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple things that are obvious, but why does that make sense for the Raiders?
Yeah. So first of all, John's outstanding.
He's
He's
great.
just an outstanding guy, and
he's hiding behind the curtain, so say a lot of good things. No, I'm just kidding.
For sure. No, we I met John a few years ago, and we've been just been in contact for a while, and trying to get to this point that we're at this weekend. But even on the personal thing, John has been really just a really cool friend to bounce ideas off of, right? And so, as I mentioned earlier, Utah, we consider our local market for the Raiders, right? So it's Las Vegas, obviously it's Northern Nevada, and then it's Utah as our local market. And we want to build relationships here in Utah to do things like, as you mentioned, the Junior Jazz program, right? So we want to expand our Silver and Black program here as well in Utah, and grow the Raiders fan base. And like I said earlier, I think the best way to do that is through families and through sport and through competition. So we saw the summer game as an excellent opportunity to be into the community, right? We have one of our players is going to be part of the opening ceremonies to walk around, and we're going to be able to participate and give some Raiders love to the community here. So I thought it was, why not the summer games, right? It impacts the entire state. We are all competitors and athletes. Yeah. And so we thought it was a great opportunity to be in the community here.
Oh, that's awesome. One other random, I think is a Utah tie. I noticed something when I was reading online about the girls flag footballs. I saw something about Intermountain Health, like facility. Intermountain Health, like the Utah-based Intermountain Health, right? Do they sponsor one of the facilities or something there?
Yeah, so Intermountain is one of our founding partners with the Raiders, right? So our whole entire practice facility, our HQ headquarters where we both have our offices is the Intermountain Raiders headquarters or sports complex there.
Oh, so that's cool.
It's been great. And then Intermountain has been really great partners with us on the youth football and the high school side. So we do a program every year where we are purchasing helmets to obviously promote safety of the game and have the most up-to-date helmets. Well, Intermountain is our partners on that, and they fully back financially that program for us. We have a Game of the Week program platform where we're going to local high schools, elevating their Friday night experience. Intermountain is a part of that as well. Obviously, I mentioned our coaches clinics and educating coaches. We want coaches to have the best resources and the up-to-date safety plans of how to interact with our youth. Intermountain's our partner with that as well. So they've been a really good partner, particularly in growing the game for us.
Oh, that's awesome. Were you going to add anything to that?
I was going to add the coaches piece. Yep, they're part of, can't play without coaches. So
and Intermountain is our main hospital here in Cedar City.
Yes, sir.
And I'm actually, this is a really random side note, I'm actually on a board for a professional running team here in Utah that we got started, sent a bunch of athletes, actually went to the Olympics this year. And
that's fantastic.
Intermountain was so crucial in helping that get off the ground, in addition to some funding from the Utah Sports Commission. And just those partnerships are so key. And the reason why I'm kind of highlighting that partnership is getting to where that initial partnership and where it's grown, and how a new partnership with Utah Summer Games and how that can grow, right?
Yes, sir.
And so tell me about which programs are you implementing specifically with Summer Games? Are you doing girls flag? Are you doing 7-on-7?
Yep.
So talk about those. Yeah.
So both 7-on-7 and girls flag. And the really cool thing about girls flag, particularly this year and with the Summer Games, is there's a rule book. So let me back up. Girls flag is sanctioned in
15 states.
So sanctioned in 15 states across the country as a high school varsity sport.
Really?
Get a varsity letter in
so
high
awesome.
school.
Play a state championship.
Yeah, win a state championship playing flag football. So
I love that. That is so cool.
So Nevada is one of those 15. And I think this is part of the relationship with Summer Games, particularly girls flag, is let's start the conversation. Let's see how we can make Utah number 16.
What other states can we get to engage in this?
Actually growing in. But backing up there is, since states have been sanctioned at different time, and there's different rules that apply to different states, right? And so a part of growing the game is make sure everybody's kind of speaking the same language on the same page.
Right.
And a big thing that's happening here at the Summer Games is a lot of those official rule books that are coming down from NFHS, the national governing body, is going to happen here at Utah's Summer Games.
Awesome.
So that's a great opportunity to not only educate the players that are participating and the coaches that are participating, but the officials that are officiating the game. And so being in the forefront of that with the Utah Summer Games, I think for sure that was the number one priority for us. And then on the 7-on-7 tackles, I mean, this is an opportunity to continue the development in the off season, right? We want to be a part of the development process for athletes all across this market. And I think 7-on-7 is a really good game to do that.
Yeah.
It's a fast game. It's a fun game, and you can teach a lot of different techniques and skill levels through the 7-on-7 game. So why not be a part of those two sports this year? Yeah,
that's fun. Now, tell me about the age ranges in both of these. You kind of talked about the 4 quarters, but what are if somebody wants to, do people just sign up, or should they already be existing teams? How do they get engaged in this?
I mean, you can essentially, we start as young as 5 years old, and we go as old. I shouldn't say old. We go up until, maybe advanced past 50. So we actually have a collaboration with the city of Las Vegas. We sponsor their wheelchair football team.
Cool.
And so they're the Raiders wheelchair football team. And then there's there's veterans and athletes there that are in wheelchairs that are 60 plus.
Do they use a court surface for that, or what do they use?
They do, or the asphalt. So they.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like
I've heard of wheelchair basketball, but not football.
It is a sight to see. It is. It's very physical.
Yeah, those are real athletes out there.
Yeah, it is very physical.
Awesome. Do they do it in a flag? I've never heard of this. How do they?
It's a touch.
It's a touch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, touch.
They'll throw a pass. They have an offensive line that blocks just like you would in regular football. They throw a pass and take off. Once you're touched, you're down. It's kind of 7-on-7 style.
Yeah. All right, now I've got to go watch some reels or something of this. That sounds so cool.
It is very physical. So essentially, our programs kind of range from all of that. And there's different ways that we get attached. It could be just a camp. So we do a lot of camps, particularly in the summer, where it's your youth football camp where you come out, you get a T-shirt and run around and have fun. So there's an element of that you can sign up and register on Raiders Impact. We'll give you the social tags as well on Raiders.com. Or we can go to your school. Maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a principal or a gym teacher that says, hey, we would love for the Raiders to come to our school to maybe host our physical education class. We can go there and do a Raiders Junior training camp, and that's a way for us to be in touch with it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get in touch with us.
That's awesome. Now, for the summer games specifically, how is that being organized? Tell me about the dynamic with that and the registration for that.
Yeah, so the registration is through the Utah Summer Games, and we are, collaborating and partnering with them to elevate the platform.
Like getting the word out to a lot of these, like
exactly,
like a lot of the flag football teams in Vegas and Nevada,
in Utah, yes sir.
And even in Utah, okay,
yes sir. Yeah. So we hope that us being in collaboration and in partnership with the Utah Summer Games, drives participants to compete and see how the best that they can do.
Is 7-on-7 also flag?
No, it's a touch kind of basis.
It is okay. And is 7-on-7 boys and men and flag is girls and women?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I say boys and men and girls and women because you have youth and adult.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Just making sure I got that clear.
You got it.
Man, I'm trying to think. There was a couple things that we were kind of talking about before that we wanted to touch on. I guess, how do you want, we've talked about that too. Like, how do we want to see it grow? What I guess for you personally then.
Yeah.
And this is for both of you. What do you get out of being involved in these community programs? Because a lot of people are like, they want to be like, if they can't play football, they want to be the agent for this player, but you're in the grassroots, you're in the everyday. And to be fair, not only were we helping the community, we're also kind of creating a pipeline for who's the next great player potentially, right?
Yes, sir.
But what do you get out of it personally? Yeah.
I would say, those relationships and those mentorships to see girls get to the next level. Like when I was in high school, I had no idea this was an option, like a career like this. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so being that representation for them to know, hey, I can work in the NFL. My career doesn't have to be done. Once I'm done playing, that's not the end of football for me. I can be, in the front office and give back to the game like this. So for me, it's being that representation, being that mentor that someone can, look up to and say, I can be in that chair one of these days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. How about you, Myles?
Yeah. I think that there's a long answer to it from me. So I grew up.
I like it long.
Yeah.
Yeah. give me some background.
Yeah. So similar to you, I grew up in a military family, right?
So what branch were you?
Air Force.
Okay.
So my mom was active duty. My dad did civil service for
really?
years and years.
Yeah.
So I was born in Tokyo, Japan. I've lived in Korea.
So you went to all the cool places.
Yeah,
I went to like Barstow, California, Yuma, Arizona. Anyway, sorry to digress, but
nah, it's cool. I mean, for most of it, I was in Colorado, so I don't know how cool Colorado is like that. But
it's pretty cool. It's not the sagebrush or the tumbleweeds of Barstow, California.
No, I think it's a little different.
Sorry, Barstow. My brother was born there. Anyways, all right, keep going. I'm just trying.
So, a lot of what I do in our day-to-day with football development is essentially how I kind of grew up, right? So I was a quiet kid, shy, not really quiet anymore, but shy, quiet. And,
She shakes her head no.
Really to myself. It took me a while to even associate with other kids. And I feel like a lot from military kids in some ways because you're always kind of moving and shifting. And
yeah, you're always kind of a cool kid at first, but then after a little bit, people just ignore you. Like, someone new? We're going back to our own cliques. Yeah,
exactly. So So, for instance, I missed in the Raiders junior training camp. My first introduction, I knew sports, but my first introduction to a team or to playing football amongst friends and peers was through somebody inviting me. The Broncos come in and say, hey, can you want to play recess kind of out here, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like our junior training camp is a version of recess or gym class where maybe a quiet kid may want to stay in the corner, but when they say, hey, race to this line, they end up being the cool kid because they're the fastest kid.
Yes.
In my case. So to me, that's Raiders junior training camp, right? And so now the cool kid says, the kids say, hey, Myles is kind of fast. Do you want to play on my team? Right. Yeah. Right. So coincidentally enough, my first team that I played on as a youth kid was the Raiders in Denver. I don't know how that happened.
Oh man!
But it was the Raiders. And
get them while they're young. Get them while they're young.
For sure. So again, that was an invitation from an activity at school that led to my first experience as part of a team. Right. And so Marli mentioned early, our silver and black leagues are that quarter two where you're part of a team. Now my mom has to take me to a practice, and now my mom is going across the city to get us to practice or to a game, or it's on a weekend and all those type of things. So now I'm thinking like, man, I know that was probably tough on my mom. How can the Raiders help impact families? Well, maybe we'll take some price off the uniforms. Maybe we'll pay for the uniforms. They're all free, right? So now it's easier for the family to get to where you need to get to. Or maybe I didn't really like that coach. I don't know if he knew what he was doing in the drills, or I was really uncomfortable. Well, that's where the coach's education part comes in. That we're going to help train the coaches on how to run a practice so you have a good experience, right?
Yeah, and for the right age.
For the right age, exactly, 100%. No Oklahoma drills, right? And then when I got to high school, I just remember opportunities that came to me in high school just because we were a part of a really good program, right? So shout out to Overland High School. Coach Manfredi. Coach Manfredi, if you hear this, man, I'm shouting you out.
Shout out. I wish I had like a kind of thing for the podcast.
My head coach, Tony Manfredi, but he ran an outstanding football program where I could continue to dream in the sport, right? And so for the Raiders, and when we connect with high school athletes, we connect with high school coaches, it's like, how can we make this experience better for the student that's playing or better for the coaches that are playing? So we do that through equipment donations. Maybe we're donating financially to expand your weight room. Maybe we're connecting players with the athletes where they can just ask a question of like, how did you work through this adversity point? Or what did you do here? Or what is your off-season training process, right? So that's part of our high school development that was unique to myself as well. Yeah. And then, the opportunities that came to me in college, well, those parts were great, and I played in college and I had a good time. But when I was done playing, I was like, I'm not good enough to play professionally for the Raiders. I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to live those hours, but I still want to be a part of the game. How do I even be a part of the game? How do I stay involved? And so it came back to the first part of me where I said, well, let me do recess for the kids, right? Let me help them out and just playing. And so now it's my full-time job. So it's kind of been like a full circle moment for me. And then so when somebody says football development, I don't take it as just, playing with the kids or, in the community. I take it as this developed me in life, right? Yeah. I'm talking to you right now, right? Just because of when I started as a recess kid and somebody gave me opportunities to play sports, and it's taught me a lot about just interacting with people, making sacrifices, working through adversity. And now I represent the Raiders in a different way. Yeah. And in a way that I didn't really even dream about, but I'm a professional in some ways. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel when we attack any program. And they'll tell you that. And we have a team. I want to shout out two others on our team. Jordan Aguilar is a part of our team, as well as Chris Shelby. They do outstanding work as well. But we know when we strategize and we brainstorm, we think about ourselves, but we think about how can we impact that kid at this level to help them get to maybe our level. Even if they can't be pros playing, how can we help them get to being a professional? Yeah. And we know sports can do that. So we really use it as a passion project. It's not just something that the Raiders assign us to. I think we have a team that is really passionate about this work. Yeah.
What you made me think of when you were describing a few things actually. The players and the coaches, those are the like media poster child. You know, poster people for Raiders and everything, right? But you and your team, you guys are the grassroots poster child or poster people for the Raiders, because these are the types of programs. And the reason why I'm kind of going into this is when I was a kid, growing up in the military, my parents actually, they had me as teenagers, and my dad joined the military, yada, yada. And we just never had a lot of money. I remember my mom taught me the tricks of the trade at the thrift store and whatever. Yeah. And I remember when I was, I was probably third or fourth grade, and my parents didn't have money. It was like $30 to play rec basketball.
Right.
And my mom said, well, if you want to play, you're going to have to use your birthday money. And I'm like, okay. So I used my birthday money. It was the only time I got to play basketball. And really, that's probably mostly why I got into running, because running was something where even if I didn't have running shoes, I could run. And kind of like what you're describing, like if you're the fastest kid, I was this tiny little kid, but I could book it,
Right.
And so it was something where I could compete. I loved football. My mom was too scared because I was small to let me play football. She would not let me.
Right.
She had a cousin that was really good, and was a very good prospect for both college and professional. So she told me, she's passed now, but his knees were so messed up that she's like, oh, you can't play. And I'm like, come on, Mom, that's like, doesn't happen to everyone. I'm like, come on, and I'm probably faster than him anyways, but I loved it. When you talk about playing on the playground, my favorite memories are playing just kind of like pickup games of football out on the field, every recess, and I loved being the fast little guy that all these big guys couldn't tackle, because I would just between them or squirm out of them or whatever. Not that I never got tackled, but I don't know. It's just, I remember we had these weird kind of rubbery footballs. I think it was just so like at recess we didn't get hurt or something. I don't know if you remember those kind of.
Sure.
I for sure do. I for sure do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Nail on the head. There you go. We're, by no means are we trying to get into the families and tell how, parenting and all those type of things. Right. We're not doing that, but we don't want to, we don't want to prevent anybody from playing due to access. What does that access point looks like? Is it a cost thing? Okay. Well, let's work with these leagues to see if we can make the cost, cheaper. Is it flag, right? Maybe you don't want to wear the shoulder pads. Maybe you don't want to wear the helmets. Maybe you don't want to wear all that. Well, you just need a flag belt and some space to play flag football.
Yeah, right.
Is that opportunity to play, right? How can we make mom and dad feel a little bit more comfortable about the safety of the game?
Yeah, right.
So we come in, we can educate them on the proper ways to tackle, or the proper ways that you deal with heat and hydration, or the proper ways that what drills to run, right? So that's all a part of the education piece too. Or as simple as, hey, we have some tickets. We're bringing a community group into the Raiders game. Maybe there's just a dream or something that they saw at the Raiders game. They say, hey, I can do something else, right? Right. I remember, and I'm gonna shout out my dad here. My dad worked Boys and Girls kind of club programs kind of with the Air Force my whole time growing up.
Yeah, I remember Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, exactly.
Military growing up too.
Yep. And so one time the Major League Baseball All-Star game came to Denver, Colorado, and I couldn't participate because I was Mr. Hayes' son, so I couldn't participate as one of the kids on the field. But there was kids from the Boys and Girls Club that got to represent all the Major League Baseball teams and go on the field with the athletes. So I saw Barry Bonds and Jim Thome and all the people that Cal Ripken, all the people that I kind of really, kind of looked up to as a youth, but I didn't get to experience it. But one person stuck out to me the entire time during that event. And it was a young lady that had headphones on, and she was organizing everybody where to go, telling the players where to go here and where they got. Now I know that was a game day entertainment, right?
Oh yeah.
Like she was maybe a community person, or she was working game day entertainment, but her presence always stuck out to me of like,
what's she doing?
Yeah. What is her job?
Yeah.
What is she doing?
Yeah.
And now I find myself in that, right? So if we can expose kids and youth to opportunities where they're like, okay, I know you don't play, but you got Raider stuff on.
Yeah.
What do you do? Right? Maybe we can inspire a kid through football to do something else, right? And so I think that's part of the journey and part of what we do as well. Sorry, you got me fired up. When you talk about like development and why this happens, I get a little
No, that's
crazy with
beautiful.
it,
That's
so
exactly.
my apologies.
No, I say more tangents. I am probably one of the most tangential people when I'm in casual conversation.
Yeah.
So I love it when people are just rolling off.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You have any tangents you want to go on, Marli?
So I'm not a tangent person.
My apologies. Yeah, I get fired up.
I was going to ask you, when you were growing up, were there specific athletes or individuals that really inspired you, and why?
I mean, like my favorite athlete, any sport, male, female, is like Serena Williams. So that's who I was watching, growing up as.
Seen the movie about them?
Of course,
Oh, yeah.
of course.
I should have guessed, but yeah, keep going.
But yeah, like seeing them, be as great as they were. That's who I was watching. That's who I was looking up to.
Yeah.
And the path that I went, I never would have expected. I always, thought I was a hooper.
Yeah.
I didn't grow, so that did not that didn't work out for me too
I had
well.
the same problem, don't anymore.
So I'm a runner like you. I was a track person.
Oh, really?
And so
Cool.
That transition to football. I always wanted to play football, but
Yeah.
there wasn't that for girls. Once
Yeah,
you got past 8th grade and past powder puff,
There's nothing.
that was
Yeah.
it. So when I got to this point where a career that I never knew existed, I had no idea there was community outreach departments. Kind of the same way he was talking about.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was an option. There was anything like that. And so when you get to this space, I want to let other people know, boys, girls, that you can still go pro in sports. You might not be a pro athlete, but
I love that.
you still go pro in sports. Where our whole team is, the living example of that.
Yeah. I actually really love that you said that, because I mentioned that professional running team. I'm on the board.
Mhm.
I'm the vice chair, but I do very little compared to what like the staff does
Yeah.
or the athletes do.
Mhm.
But just to have that cool association to feel like I'm contributing, because the premise of it, and I won't digress on this, was in Utah we have tons of national in college and high school national teams or national championship teams and individuals.
Yeah.
But what was happening is they're all moving out of state, or they didn't do anything past college because there was no opportunity here. And so anyways, long story short, some people I knew said, well, let's figure out a way to keep them in house.
Yeah.
And they started doing that. And it started, at first it was rough. It was kind of, have you ever read Phil Knight's book, Shoe Dog?
Yes.
It was a lot like Shoe Dog. There's this motley crew of, we don't really know what we're doing. We're trying to make it work. We have a good idea.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, we just recently, 7 athletes on our team went to the Olympics in Paris Olympics.
That's awesome.
In addition to several other athletes
Right.
that either ran college here or were from here.
Right.
And so to just be, even to say that I was able to help in some small way to contribute to that, something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Is just so fun. And then what has happened is organically, a lot of these professional athletes that really didn't know anything about Utah are all of a sudden moving here and training with
Same
those
here.
athletes.
Yeah.
And so I just see these parallels in sports.
Mhm.
Whether your passion is running like me or football,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just so cool to kind of.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and that's really cool. The Raiders' presence in this area is just fantastic economically as well. We have a couple individuals that work in the office that grew up in like Moapa, and
Yeah.
they would go to either Walmart in Nevada or in Utah,
Yeah.
as he would describe. And so for all that talent that is in this area to be able to say, hey, I want to work a professional team, whether it's the Jazz or the Raiders, I think those opportunities are really cool. And it's really cool to be a part of maybe somebody's dream and aspiration as a youth to get to work in, as Marli said, pro sports. So
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. And shout out to you, man. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a fun little side hustle.
Don't be modest, man.
Yeah,
That's
just
cool,
volunteer
man.
time.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk more about like what we've kind of talked about what we hope to achieve, or what you're trying to do and spread the market, and maybe Utah's the 16th state for girls flag football.
Yes, sir.
And I'm guessing that your initial relationship with John Oglesby started actually when he was at the Utah High School Activities Association. Is that when that?
I know he was there, but no, it started since he's been with Summer Games.
Oh, with Summer Games.
Yeah,
okay.
but John has been a very good resource into those conversations with the association as well. So yes.
Yeah. So if you had a hope for how this continues to expand, what do you envision? Tell us what you envision, what you'd like to see. Because you talked about a lot of programs that you do.
Yeah.
What do you envision for Utah, for Southern? Obviously, we're starting Southern Utah first, and then tell me more. What's your grand vision?
So there's
Director of Football Development.
there's a lot of different areas. So number one, and what we want to do is grow the game, right? We want to be able to be an access point for girls and boys to start playing football, to play football. We know all the great benefits that sports are there. And then we want them to be Raiders fans down the line as well. I think the resources that the Raiders can provide and the opportunity to connect athletes and coaches to some of our resources here in Utah is really intriguing to me. There's a lot of talent here. As somebody that grew up in Colorado, I'm very aware of the talent. I took a lot of beatings at Weber State.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm fully aware of the talent here. So to curate that talent and be a part of that development process in Utah, I think it's fantastic. We have a really good relationship with the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association. I want that same relationship with Utah, right? Yeah. How can we be a part of the state championship games, right? How can we be a part of that trophy presentation at the state championship games? How can we have a presence in every high school in the state, similar to what we're doing in Nevada? That really intrigues me.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's all about developing and giving point and access points to kids to be able to play. Because all the things, not just football, but all the things that sports can provide youth. And so I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that growth pattern for athletes across the state. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I guess we should probably dive into a bit of the controversial, and I say that sarcastically, but either if you really love football and love watching the NFL, and I'm no diehard, so I don't want to try to pretend to be a wannabe of any sort, but I do know, especially growing up in the military, I do know either if you're hardcore in football, you either love the Raiders or you hate the Raiders, right? Like there's just this history when they're Oakland, Los Angeles, and now they're in Vegas. It's like Raiders or Raiders.
Right.
Like one of my staff, Gabby Costello, she's our public relations communications person, PIO. Her parents are diehard Raiders fans that, from California and everything. And I kind of razzed them about it, put my foot in my mouth, razzing them about it a little while back when they came to visit one time. And I'm like, Gabby, tell your parents I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, they thought it was funny. And I'm like, anyways, but tell me about those fun rivalries that the Raiders have. Because there might be some people in Utah being like, wait, Raiders want to be in Utah? Okay, we better get ourselves a team.
Yeah.
But I love what Raiders do. I'm not trying to go one way or another. But tell me about some of those fun rivalries.
I mean, first of all, that's why and I'll let Marli touch on that. But first of all, that's why we're working on your kids, right?
Yeah.
We may not be able to convince you
to
be a Raiders fan, but hopefully we can convince your kids. The thing I love about the Raiders is whether you love us or strongly dislike.
We'll say strong. You know what? I should apologize. My mother taught me to never say hate. We strongly dislike.
So whether you love us or strongly dislike.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. At least you feel something about us, right? And I think that's a testament to Al Davis, the visionary that he was. Whether you loved him or strongly disliked him, you felt some type of way about him. So it's really cool to be able to represent the Shield, and it's fun to have those conversations with adults. My folks grew up in Dallas, Texas. So, the team that they are strongly enjoy.
The team who shall not be named.
The team that shall not be named. But they strongly,
especially for those 90s kids.
Correct. They strongly enjoy that team. But, we're in the conversion process of getting them to the right colors. So I think it's all fun conversation for sure.
I do too. Anything you want to?
I'm gonna say the rivalry is fun for me. I'm from Kansas City, and so I grew up a fan of that team.
Yeah,
and so
that other team that shall not be named.
I've lived both sides of that big rivalry.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to see both sides of it, the trash talk on both sides of it. It's been an interesting perspective to see both.
Yeah, it's funny because here in Utah, the two big rivals in college football is BYU and the University of Utah. And I had a brother-in-law one time. I don't even know if he remembers this, but one time they were going to go visit University of Utah's campus, like while he was in high school. And he's like, I'm not going. No, I'm not going. No, I won't even step foot on that campus. I'm like, you're just doing a college campus tour. It has nothing to do with like sports or anything. Like, I'm not going. And I should tease him about that later. Tell him I mentioned him on the podcast. But in my mind, I'm like, with those rivalries, the team that people strongly dislike, it's like, you don't like them. You love them.
You love them.
You love them.
All love.
They're part of what makes it so fun. You revel in the rivalry, right? You know,
yes,
that's what makes it amazing.
It is definitely all love.
Every great game that people remember, nobody remembers where they just got totally washed out. Yeah. Everybody remembers the game where it came down to that last second. Oh, that call, right?
Yep.
That's what it's all about. You know, that's what makes it fun because you're on the edge of your seat. Like, this movie's got a good ending right now. You know, so it's just. Anyways, so when I that's kind of why I brought up the rivalries. The rivalries actually make it fun. Without the rivalries, like, I mean, it wouldn't be as fun. Yeah. And you know, one thing that's cool about Cedar City is and the Utah Summer Games, which is actually part of Southern Utah University, T-Bird Nation. They always do the hashtag T-Bird Nation. It's a Division I university, and a lot of people, you would never imagine that. Here in a town of 40,000 people, the whole county's 65,000 people. And we have this D1 sports university here hosting Utah Summer Games, working it with the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, it's just cool. I'm just blabbing now. I'm just bragging on things.
No, big things, man. I went to school in this northern Colorado, so very similar to
Dynamic.
Greeley. Similar to Cedar City, and I feel home. Of being here, but it's really cool to be a part. And like I said, John is an amazing guy, and Southern Utah University is a really beautiful campus, and we can't wait to be there and see everything. Yeah,
I know that this will air a little bit after at least the opening ceremonies. But have you guys been to opening ceremonies before?
We haven't. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh man, you're gonna be blown away. It's so fun.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I mean, I don't want to give it away entirely, but John and I talked about this on the podcast. He's been on twice now.
Okay.
Summer Games getting a lot of representation because we love Summer Games. But my first time, I remember everybody's walking. Like it was like the Olympics. You know how in the Olympics, like they open up the gates and they come through the fog, and each country's holding their country. Well, instead, each sport's holding like a big flag sort of thing. Representing their sport. And I can't believe how many sports Utah Summer Games has involved. And so to be able to add on the 7x7 and the girls' flag is just, I don't know. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So.
No, I feel really blessed that the Raiders can be a part of that inaugural version of that here at the Utah Summer Games. So. Like I said, man, we're super fired up to be here, man. So, and it's cooler here too. The weather is nice. Yeah.
Well, and black and silver goes well with the red of the SUU. I'm just saying, very good palette.
Yeah, so. I've seen the creative on some things. It looks really nice. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, anything else you guys want to add? It's been so fun chatting with you.
No, just thanks again for this platform and let us be a part. Anybody that's listening, please follow us on Raiders Impact. That's where you can see all of our community engagement work. To break it down, we're a part of a team that's community relations, football development, our Raiders Foundation, and Raiders Government Affairs as well. So all the above, you can see some of the great work that we're trying to do, and that's a good way to get in contact with us. So Raiders Impact.
Well, that's great. So, well, thank you both for coming on. We got Myles Hayes, the director of football development.
Yes, sir.
And Marli Bartlett, the manager of football development with the Las Vegas Raiders. Thank you both for being here. It's just been such a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.